Okay, here's a subject that I've never addressed. I've been quiet about it since it happened in 2009, but frankly, I'm growing weary of being tired about it. And you haters out there that want to hate me because of it, I'm going to go ahead and address it. And this morning was the final straw. A guy named Joe called me. This has to do with the DC-3 incident from 2009 that I've never talked about. I've never showed the footage. I've got the police tape. I've got the videotape. I've got everything to explain that. I'm going to explain it to Joe. It's going to be his choice how he handles this going forward. I'm going to give him an opportunity to listen to me and make a correction. And if not, I'm going to go down my path. Journalism, I have the right to tell the story, use names, pictures, everything that I want to tell the story in real time as it occurred. I'm not making anything up. This is a real life story. I have the right to tell it. I didn't start this. Joe started this. Depends on how he wants to handle this is how I'm going to handle it. But I'm going to call him. I've already advised him that I'm recording the phone call, and this just occurred this morning. I'm about to call Joe back right now, and I'm going to let you listen into this phone call. We'll see how Joe wants to handle this.
Hello?
Hello, Joe.
DanGryder, how you doing?
What's up, Joe?
Hey, listen, I gotta be honest with you. I did a little bit of research, and I feel like an asshole because, I think that I shared something that was pretty inaccurate, and that seems like the Griffin town or police department or whoever, whatever it is, were the assholes and not you. And I'm sorry. I do apologize.
Well, I appreciate that, Joe. I want to let you know that you're on a recorded line, so
Okay, that's fine. Sure.
be careful what you say.
Yeah, no problem.
But with your permission, I'm going to use this as a object lesson to fully explain this. And now that you've done a little bit of research, why don't you tell me what happened?
Well, it depends because I was handed an article a while ago from Fox News about an incident that had happened and that I believe you were arrested. And then I heard, some things that you were drunk, you were trying to take off without gas, so on and so forth. But I, can't really find anything that confirms that. So obviously, why would someone try to take off without gas? And if they did, I think there'd be more documentation of that. And you've been around for quite a while. So I'd imagine if you were doing stupid shit like that, you really wouldn't be around doing what you're doing. So, it's kind of one of those things where you may hear something, but you better verify it before you share it or post it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've never talked about it, Joe. So this is a first for me. But I'm going to tell you. I want you to listen to what I have to say, and then I welcome your conclusion. But let me tell you what really happened. The DC-3 is based at that airport, and the airport's split into two sides, the south side and the north side. The north side is owned by the Kiwanis Club, who rents a whole bunch of acreage for $1 a year so they can have their Kiwanis Club fair. So prior to 2009, I had put in a bid to build a new large hangar on the north side because we're out of space on the south side. So that started a firestorm of city council, city political things that tried to get me to move the airplane and tried to give me all kinds of problems. So I had already received 10 or 15 different citations prior to this of absolutely made up stuff that they made things up trying to discourage me from continuing to operate there. It's because I put in a bid to build a hangar on the Kiwanis Club land on the north side of the airport, and their Kiwanis Club Fairgrounds has been there once a year for 50 years. So when this thing happened, I had been driving my car on the ramp on the south side of the airport, but there's nothing wrong. There's nothing illegal about driving your car really anywhere on the airport. It's a tiny little airport. There's no TSA fences. Everybody drives everywhere. So they had come out.
That's what we do at our airport too. Sure.
Yes. So once again, they sent code enforcement officers out to give me citations. The 30 days previous to this, I had just gotten 2 other citations from the code enforcement department. They walked up to me and wanted to know if I had oil in the DC-3. I was pre-flighting it, and I said, yes, sir, I do have oil in there. And he said, how many gallons of oil are in that DC-3? And I said, well, that's 29 gallons per side, sir. And he said, well, I'm going to give you this citation. And I said, for what? And he goes, that's storage of a flammable petroleum product on airport property. And he hands me his citation. So I just took it, and I started to walk away, and he goes, that's not all. And I said, what else you got? He goes, what are those drips underneath there? I said, sir, that's oil. And he said, well, that's dispersal of a petroleum product into the city waterway system. And here's another ticket. And I said, sir, I'm sitting on top of an air oil separator. This is a wash rack. This does not go into the city water system. I'm parked in the designated spot that I'm supposed to. He goes, doesn't matter. They sent me out here to give you these 2 tickets, and that's what I'm doing. So I paid the tickets and went on my way. Then they elected to put 2 steel poles on the approach end of runway 32, 50 feet in the air, directly in the path of the VASI. So if you flew the VASI 3-1, you would hit these things. They weren't connected to anything. They didn't have any approval. They had no FAA approval. They just went out there and put the poles up. 50-foot steel, rebar, concrete poles. And I threw a fit. I called everybody under the sun, including the feds, Oklahoma City, Washington, D.C., AOPA. These guys came out and they looked at it, and within 48 hours, they required them to bulldoze these poles down. It was city's idea that if they erect the poles, that I couldn't get the DC-3 in and out of there. And so they put them up overnight to discourage me from flying the DC-3. Here's the AOPA article that talks about that. That was all prior to this. Now, when this thing happened, they sent 2 code enforcement women out there to give me 2 more citations, but none of the things that you read in that article are true. I conversed with the lady. Her name was Carol Rainwater. She had tried to be a City of Griffin police officer for many years, but she couldn't pass the IQ test. She couldn't pass the gun test, and she did not possess minimum level of IQ in order to be a police officer in Griffin. So they gave her the code enforcement job, which is equivalent to the dog catcher. She's got no badge, no gun, and no authority. When she came out to me, I was already in the airplane, and we talked. I was in the right seat of the DC-3. We talked, and I explained to her that I was going to eventually start the airplane, move it to its secure spot because it was unchalked, and I was holding brake pressure, and I was going to start it and move it. And she said, no, don't move it. And I said, ma'am, I'm going to start this in about 5 minutes. You're plenty safe. It was raining. I said, go sit in your pickup truck for a minute. When I get done, I'll be glad to talk to you. So she said, no, don't start it. And I turned on a boost pump, and the boost pump made a little whirring noise. And as soon as I turned on the boost pump, she hightailed it to her pickup truck, which was 100 feet away. I didn't know it, but she went and jumped in her truck and called for backup because she felt like her life was in danger. Ugh. I went ahead and started the DC-3. I started the right engine, and it takes a long time to warm it up. Then I started the left engine. It takes a long time to warm it up. I didn't know it, but a police car had arrived and was parked directly behind the airplane, unbeknownst to me. I didn't know he was back there, but he had video running, and I have that video. Now, when it comes time to move the DC-3, I moved it forward very slowly, and I went out and taxied the airplane. I was actually checking a new DG that maintenance had put in the night before to make sure the DG, the vacuum-powered DG, was going to track.
Do we know who he is? If we know who he is, we can get him. Don't try to get hurt with that plane. Yes, thank you. 10-4, he's spinning around towards orbit, facing our vehicle. I'm moving out of the way. Get him out of the way, let him go. That's what I'm doing. Hey, we'll land that plane. Yes.
So I went out and I did 4 90-degree turns, and I came and brought it and put it back in the parking spot where it was supposed to go. When I came back in, there was like 30 cop cars there. I thought there was a fire or a bomb or something. I had no idea what was going on. I parked it in the spot, and I've got the police tape. As I park the airplane and I come out of the DC-3 door backwards with my back to the police, on the radio, one of the officers asks, he says he's got a clean shot. Can I take a shot? These guys wanted to shoot me in the back as I'm coming out of the DC-3. Fortunately, his supervisor said, and I quote, no, hold what you got. So I come out of the DC-3, they surround me, handcuff me, and all of a sudden, I'm like, what is going on here? I asked what the problem is, and they said, we don't know yet. They took me downtown, threw me in jail. Actually, they took my mugshot. Here's a picture of that. When they took my mugshot, I asked them, what am I being arrested for? And the guy said, we don't know yet. How do you like that? Now, they arrested me for 2 counts of aggravated assault because there was 2 women sitting in that pickup truck that day. Both of them claimed that they were in fear for their lives. I didn't even know there was another woman in the pickup truck. Both of them swore out affidavits that they both felt in fear for their lives. So they put me in jail, aggravated assault, 20 years federal time for each count. Now, the saving grace off of this is that the thing came before a grand jury. Guess what the grand jury did?
Threw it out, I'd imagine, at this point.
They threw it out. There was no crime. There was no one in any danger. I didn't know about it, and the grand jury did their job, and they threw this out. That was in 2009. I was flying for Delta. I was off Delta for a period of a very short time until they did their investigation. I went back to flying immediately for Delta with full TSA clearance. I was flying, I believe, international at the time. I went back to full credential immediately after this. Shortly after that, a few years later, I upgraded to captain at Delta. The airlines had no problem with the situation that occurred, and they recognized it as small town politics and a turf war, and there was no problem. Now, the problem I have is that the newspaper kid who was 19 years old wrote the article that went in the Griffin Daily News. He wrote that article. He was a brand new journalist, and every news agency in the world picked it up, including CNN, BBC. It went everywhere. Delta captain tries to run over police, drunk, tries to take off with no fuel. All I did, Joe, when I came back into the ramp, I called on the radio to the FBO and I ordered fuel like I do every day. I call the FBO and tell them I'm ready for fuel. I was getting ready to go fly. I called the FBO and said, send the fuel truck down. That's all I did. The airplane had gust locks in it, gear pins in it. I was by myself, and I didn't have fuel to fly. I wasn't going anywhere. This entire thing was a complete joke. It illustrates how bad the media is and how absurd the whole thing. Now we enter you, Joe. You pick up this media thing and tell me about the Instagram post that you posted.
It was I deleted it until I talked to you, and I honestly it said pretty much similar to the story that you had said about that 19, 20-year-old whatever reporter wrote. So clearly that wasn't the case, because you wouldn't be you'd still be in federal prison if that was the case, I would imagine.
Joe, try to take your Piper Cub and run over somebody that's in a police car. Would it be possible?
Yeah, it would be possible, and I'd be in jail for.
How is it possible that I could run over police officers with a DC-3? I can't even maneuver that thing unless it's at 2 miles an hour. It's just not a very zippy airplane.
Yeah, I also read, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they tried to give you a citation for washing your airplane. Is that a real thing?
Yes. I had 15 citations. There's no limitation on washing your airplane with soap and water. Everybody does it. I picked up all the citations. I paid every one of them. I kept my mouth shut. I just flew my DC-3. I didn't do anything wrong. And
were they trying to get the DC-3 out of there, or close the airport, or was it just a personal?
Both. Both.
They want local politics are airports. In my airport right now, we want to turn into low-income housing. So is it just the town trying to get rid of the airport, or?
They're doing both. They want the airport closed. They want me out of there. They've always wanted me out of there. I'm the guy operating the DC-3. They want me gone. So you and I are going to make a deal, Joe. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I think I'm ready.
I think you and I are going to become new best friends. My AQP mission, I don't have a lot. I'm not a wealthy guy. I don't want a lot. I'm driving a Honda Accord that's got 420,000 miles on it. I don't do anything for money. I want you to help me with my AQP mission. I think you're a Piper Cub guy. I think you're a GA guy.
Yeah, I also, and it's shame on me, because when I did post that, somebody said, hey, you may not like a lot of things that he says, but he is a proponent of AQP for GA, and I kind of scratched my head and said, "Oh, that's actually pretty interesting, and that's a pretty admirable thing to be doing, because I think that's actually what is lacking in GA." And so
it is, and you know about AQP because you came from ExpressJet, and now you're at Spirit, and now you're a captain at Spirit, so you see this stuff and you know what I'm talking about. AQP is scenario-based training. We can do scenario-based training on a volunteer basis at GA and help save lives, and that's the program I'm on. I want you to help me.
I'll help you.
I want you to help me.
That sounds like a deal. I mean, look, like I said, I apologize because, well, let me say this. I still don't agree with a lot. No, I shouldn't say a lot, but with sometimes I don't agree with maybe your verbiage of on some of your videos. But that's
you have the right to not agree. You have the right to not like it.
I don't have the right to share information that's not accurate, and for that I do apologize.
Your apology is accepted, Joe. Let's consider us to be best friends and go forward. Can we do that?
Absolutely.
All right, sounds good, young man. Have a great day.